We're here at Conduit 2012 with the infamous Kathy Moore.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Infamous is really what I am.
And you are very popular. You're very, within your own right, famous in your niche.
In this small field, yes.
Of Filk.
Filk. It's fantasy and science fiction folk music. I started out as a folk singer in Denver. In fact, I supported myself and 2 children for 8.5 years as a street singer in the downtown of Denver, sitting in front of the May D&F building and singing for 3 or 4 hours every afternoon.
Wow. Really? You can actually support a family that way.
Well, I was loud. I could be heard 2.5 to 3 blocks away. People had a chance to figure out I was not Muzak, and to have the money out of their pockets and into their hands so that they could quick put it in the guitar case as they went by and no one would see them. You know, I had my glasses off, so I really couldn't. I never got any of the people who gave me dirty looks from a distance. And the only way I could tell that I actually had audience just about every day was that there was a bus stop directly across the street from me. And after all the buses that I knew went by there had gone by, and I was still seeing some of the people leaning up against the building, I knew they were there to listen to the music. So I got the positive feedback when people came up and said nice things and when they gave me money. But I got none of the negative feedback, so it made it easier to keep singing. It was actually really well. We did about $30 to $50 a day in tips, and that's enough to pay the bills and to eat every day. So it worked. I don't suggest it for anybody necessarily because it's not an easy way to make a living. But in music, there pretty much is no easy way.
Yeah, it's a job of passion, not necessarily a job of.
You do it because you love it.
Right.
You know, now I'm lucky enough that the man that I've been living with for, in July it'll be 28 years, he works for PayPal. So the money has ceased to be such an important issue. I don't have to provide a big part of a living, so I can concentrate on doing the music for the sheer joy of the music.
And tell us a little bit more about, because most people have never heard the word Filk.
Well, it started as a typo. Back in the days before the internet, there were things called APAs, and that came from Amateur Press Association. People would get together and basically create their own little amateur magazines. Each person would have their contribution. They would make up enough copies for all the people that were in the group and send it to one person who would then collate it into a magazine and then ship them back out to all the people. And they would each have their own copy that had whatever they contributed plus whatever anyone else did. And it would have book reviews, music reviews, articles about writing, stuff like that. And at that time, it was about the time of the 50s, 60s folk revival in America, and people who went to conventions, when they were done with the panels for the day, would sit around and do folk music together. And there was a lot of taking old folk tunes and putting lyrics about books that they loved happening, and original lyrics being written. Paul Anderson has a marvelous piece called The Queen of Air and Darkness that has been set to a couple of different tunes. It's just, he wrote songs, essentially, into a lot of his work. I have something from the 30s that was a Filk song that was written by Isaac Asimov. But anyway, they were talking about folk music, and someone did a typo, Filk music instead, and people latched onto it as a way to define this music that had to do with science fiction and fantasy rather than straight folk music. And it became our word for ourselves, for what we do.
That's fascinating. I've never heard that before.
So, would you be willing to give us an example, sing us an example of what this kind of music is?
The one I decided I would use is one I called the Curmudgeon song. This is my own. And I'm doing it because I can do it in my big voice, and it says something I think is really important, and at the same time, I still have enough voice to be able to do it. All around my hat, I will tie purple cabbages, and on all of the cabbages I'll put wigs of kitten hair, and if anyone should ask me the reason why I'm doing that, I'll say, it's none of your damn business what the hell I wear. All around my plate I will pile lots of lobster tails, and all around the lobster tails stacks of deli meat. And if anyone should ask me the reason why I'm doing that, I'll say, it's none of your damn business what the hell I eat. All around my life I will gather a family of lovers and my lovers' lovers till we have enough. And if anyone should ask me the reason why I'm doing that, I'll say, it's none of your damn business who the hell I love. All around this world there is lots of diversity, and all around this con there's diversity as well. And if anyone should ask me the reason why I'm singing this, I'll say, embrace diversity or go to bloody hell. That's it.
It's great, thank you. Anything you want to share? Maybe any?
A lot.
Well,
One of the things that makes Filk a very, very important thing musically is that it's not about having a really good voice. It's about the sheer joy of sharing music. Every one of us has music in our souls. Every one of us has a song hidden inside of us and a view of the universe that no one else has. And Filk is a great way to have a chance to share that with other people, other like-minded people. It is a music of vulnerabilities and of emotions, and a lot of really, really funny parodies. You can find Filk on the internet, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it at almost any convention that is big enough to have Filk. You can go to the Filk room, and you'll have a wide variety of voices from really, really professional people. I was a professional singer before I found Filk, to people who can almost carry a tune, to people who can't carry a tune to save themselves, but write great lyrics. But there's room for all of that, and there's acceptance for all of that. And there are a lot of people who have been told all of their lives that they can't sing, and it's dead wrong. The number of people who are actually tone deaf is such a vanishingly small number that most of what you have are people who have sung so little in their lives that they haven't trained their ear and they haven't trained their voice. And that's something we can all get better at the more we do it. And just sharing the music, just singing along with the group, can be the most freeing and uplifting experience. We don't know how important music is until we do it ourselves. So I encourage people to try to come to the Filks, to any Filks that you can, and just experience that. Even if you come as a listener, it's amazing how quickly you find yourself singing along and then eventually writing your own stuff. We have people that I've watched go from sitting in the back doing needlework to singing along, to doing harmonies, to doing performances, to getting involved in the community at large. And it's a tribe. It's very much like a family. And there are people all over the world making this music. There's a judge in Singapore. There are Filkers all over Europe. There are Filkers in Australia. There are Filkers everywhere writing these songs. There's a huge, maybe over 100 people in Israel alone who are Filkers. So it's quite the widespread community. And we all consider ourselves kin of sort. And we sing for the sheer joy of it. And we write for the sheer joy of it.
What did you do before, professionally, what did you do before you were filming?
I was in a rock band, I was in a folk trio, I was a solo performer in the folk field for years and years and years in the Denver area.
that was back in the 60s, right? 60s, 70s?
70s and 80s.
So folk music was really big back then.
It was never real. It was really big in the late 50s into the 60s. I got my first guitar when I was 15, so that would have been 66. because I'm 61 now. So I got my guitar right at the heart of the whole Beatle thing, and Simon and Garfunkel and all of that, and I learned a lot of those songs, and I did a bunch of open stages, and I sang in a coffee house in Kansas City the year I lived out there, and so I did music forever. I did music for years and years and years, not just as a street singer, but also in little clubs, and I was part of a rock band that looked like it was going to take off beautifully. We just had a magic with each other. And then someone told the lead guitar player he needed to enunciate a little more clearly, and he quit the band, and it was over, and that was it. The average length of any band living is about 3 years, so if you go longer than that, it's huge. We didn't, but we tried. But I had a folk trio that lasted for a good solid 5 years, and that was a lot of fun. We did some big concerts in the Denver area. We did very well. We played a lot of clubs.
Do you have any records that are still in print, still available?
I have albums. I did an album of covers, songs that I wish I'd written, called These Are a Few of My Favorite Sings, and that is still available. It's a lovely album. I really loved being able to bring the music of all of these other writers to people. But I also have a double CD set of some that were on tape originally, called Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And it's a double album set of a lot of my stuff, some of it done in the rock style. I'm more eclectic. I'm not just folk, but it has some stuff done folk style and rock style and a little bit of everything, and very professionally recorded by Thor Records in LA, which is no more. But so that is still available, and I have a new one. It is a live album. I was the second person ever in the history of Worldcon to be a music guest of honor at a Worldcon when they had it in Denver in 2008. And we have a DVD of my concert at Worldcon, along with 2 CDs of me live at various conventions. And on that we've put CD extras of a photo album, mostly of my kids, because I am a proud mom. And on the other one, a songbook. So you have a songbook, a photo album, 2 CDs, and a DVD in a packet called Kathy Marr Live for $30. And that's all of the things that I've done you can find via my webpage, www.zocolatl.com/Kathy. Or just Google me, Kathy Marr, and you'll find my webpage, you'll find my Wikipedia page, and you'll be able to access my website. And on my website we have links to all the places that you can still buy the music. So some of it is still available.
Well, it's good to hear. And you're still going strong. You're
Still going strong.
Doing the Filk and
Still
singing
writing
and
songs. A lot of what I do right now these days is for auctions to help raise funds for both Interfilk and for individual conventions that are having problems. I offer to write songs for people to order on whatever topic they want, and then they will own all the rights to it. So basically, they'll get the royalties instead of me. And I do that. This last month at Filk, Ontario, I offered that, and the song went for $550. So the convention made $550, and I have now a project to write the song that the person who won the auction wanted written. So it's really kind of fun doing those. I did one recently that just looking at the lyrics made the person cry. They were that happy with what I had done with it. So I consider it a success.
And when you do a song like this, how long do you usually take to write it? Or
It
like
can
anything,
vary.
right? It just sometimes
It can
just
vary.
comes. And,
You know, the first one I ever did, I wrote the song very quickly because it was a really effective story. This woman had gone out as a teenager with her brother on the road. He was a roadie for a band. So she had ridden in his diesel truck going across the country, and she thought that was just so cool. She decided she wanted to be a truck driver. But she got back home, and a parent got sick, and she was the caregiver. And then that parent died, and the other parent got sick, and she was the caregiver. And her brothers needed her to be the mom and take care of them and raise them. So things kept happening in her life, and she'd gotten to middle age and still hadn't had her dream. And when she bought the song, she had just finally sent the last person out into the world and had the time to go to trucking school and become a trucker. So I thought this was a great song idea, and I wrote the song, and then she disappeared, and no one could find her. Basically because she was on the road as a trucker. She actually finished trucking school, got a truck, and was doing that. She had made a best friend in trucking school, and they went out as partners, and one day he was driving, and he suddenly stopped and came back into the back of the truck and gathered her up in his arms and proposed, and they wound up getting married. So I would never have even found her to share the song that I'd written for her, except she went to a convention and was talking about being a truck driver, and someone sitting next to her had heard me tell the story as I sang this song all over the country about it, and said, "Did you get a song in an auction from Kathy Marr?" "Oh, that was so many years ago. She probably forgot about that." "No, she's looking for you." And they called me in California, and someone else brought up the lyrics on their laptop, and she got to read the lyrics, and she was crying, and we were talking, and it was a marvelous connection. So I actually got to present her with her copy of Kathy Marr Live in lieu of her royalties. You know, she decided to take a copy of the album. So she got her free copy of the album that she was entitled to because of the royalties, because Dream, which is the name of the song, is on the new Kathy Marr Live album. And I actually got to share that with her and sing it in front of her, which was harder than I thought it was going to be, keeping back the tears, because it was just such a touching experience to have finally connected with her.
That's really sweet.
Thank you for that story. So,
I've never really understood Filk, I guess. It's really interesting to sit down with you and have you explain
And
it.
it really is like,
It's its
do you
own
know
little
what
thing.
Sturgeon's law is? Sturgeon's law is 90% of anything is shit. You know?
We heard that not too long ago by
Yes.
another person we interviewed.
It's a pyramid. It's all a pyramid. Any person randomly walking into the Filk room, expecting to hear one of the A-list voices singing an A-list song, it's usually not going to happen. Anyone willing to stop in and listen for a while will suddenly hear really, really good stuff, or things that just catch them even if the voice isn't the best. And they can be drawn in. And it's well worth listening to. There's some amazing songs that are out there.
It seems like it's its own little
Genre.
Yeah, it's
It
its
really
own
is.
little world.
It partakes of the rest of the world, but I was a folk performer, and I'm spoiled forever for folk. I've tried to do venues in the mundane world since I became a filker, and it is very hard to do, because out in the regular part of the world, what musicians are is just live music. We are the background soundtracks to other people's lives. Trying to get people to sing along, trying to get people to really listen, it's almost impossible. There was a folk singer named Carla Ulbrich, who someone talked into coming to a convention. And she was blown away because people got it. When she had a chorus, by the second time she did the chorus, they were singing along. By the third time, they were singing along in harmonies. They got all of the jokes. They could tell when she was doing clever things with the lyrics. She came to a Filk convention on the West Coast on the strength of her one experience at the convention in Georgia. And she brought what she thought was way too much product, way too many copies of her tape. And she sold out the first day and had a whole list of people who wanted it shipped to them. And everyone sang along, and everyone got it. And she didn't have a problem getting them to sing along. In a normal folk venue, you have to just, it's almost impossible to get people to step out of there, oh, I'm going to look stupid, and actually sing along. And in Filk, nobody cares about feeling stupid, because it's about the joy of the music, and everyone gets involved in that. And it's a lovely way to get in touch with the part of you inside that really always wants to sing. You know, we sang when we were little kids. And somewhere along the way, someone said, don't sing, or you don't have a good voice, or something that shut us down. And Filk says, hell with that. We're taking it back. We can sing, and we'll get better. And people do. They get better over time.
Fascinating. Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
No, thank you, Kathy.
Happy to help.
Fascinating. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.